Hello everyone, this is Alonzo. Want to know how to get your first cloud job? Then please register for our webinar. We'll teach you everything that you need to know and answer your questions along the way. Hope to see you there. Hello everyone, this is Alonzo. Want to know how to get your first cloud job? Then please register for our webinar. We'll teach you everything that you need to know and answer your questions along the way. Hope to see you there.
My name is Richard Ferrer, and I can say I am cloud hired.
That yes, come and join and get cloud hired. I'm cloud hired.
I'm cloud hired.
I'm cloud hired.
Hey, Go Cloud Architect family. I'm cloud hired.
Well, I'm cloud hired, guys.
So I'll just say I'm cloud hired.
I'm cloud hired.
I'm cloud hired thanks to Go Cloud Architects.
It worked for me, and now I'm cloud hired. Because of Google Architect program,
I am cloud hired.
See!
I am cloud hired. Thank you, Mike and the GlowCloud team.
Hey everybody, welcome to another Cloud Computing Career Q&A session with us at Go Cloud Careers. My name is Chris Johnson. I am the Chief Operating Officer, and I am joined by Mike Gibbs, our founder and CEO. So we are here to take any and all of your cloud career related questions. So hopefully you have come prepared with those. Just to warm everybody up, I know sometimes people are a little bit shy, but don't be afraid to ask us your questions, whether you're wondering how to become a cloud architect or how to become a cloud engineer, or if you're wondering what is a cloud architect or what is a cloud engineer. We are here to answer all of those questions. Anything related to the cloud architect career, the cloud architect job, cloud architect training, anything cloud architect, cloud engineer, cloud computing career related, we are here to answer those questions for you. So before we get started, let me tell you about a couple of things. I want to make sure everybody is aware of our free How to Get Your First Cloud Job webinar that we do on Thursdays at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. You can register at the link in the description and in the chat box that one of our colleagues is going to post. So make sure you register for this free webinar that will be tomorrow, where we will talk about everything that you need to know to become the ultimate cloud architect. We'll tell you why we created our program, why we do it the way we do, the now award-winning Cloud Architect Career Development program. And we talk about what hiring managers, see, there's the award, yes. We talk about what hiring managers want, what the cloud architect actually does. We talk about how to deal with HR and the crazy job descriptions. And then we, of course, tell you everything that you need to know to be the ultimate cloud architect. So make sure you register for that at the link in the description and in the chat box. And make sure you are going to ask us the questions in the chat box. Don't be shy. We normally have people wait to ask questions, and it ends up that we run out of time and we can't answer all the questions. So there's 20 of you here. And if you have questions, go ahead and ask the questions. So don't wait, don't hesitate, or we might miss out. Next thing I want to remind everybody about is our free AWS exam guide, as well as our free AWS Certified Solution Architect Associate video course that is available on our YouTube channel. Both of these resources are free to you to help you reach your goal of becoming AWS certified if you choose to do so. We put a lot of work, a lot of time, a lot of people put a lot of work and time into these resources for you. So make sure to take advantage of them. Don't go spend money on Udemy or some other platform where when you can get the free resources from us. So make sure you get your free copies there. Of course, I also want to remind everybody, make sure you're following us on LinkedIn, both Mike's profile and Go Cloud Careers profile. All of our stuff is put out on LinkedIn first, and then it's sent out on other platforms. So if you want to know about anything and everything as soon as it's up, make sure you're following us on LinkedIn. So, all right, I'm done. Mike, anything you want to share with us before we get to the questions?
Yeah, so my goal is to help every one of you get your first cloud job, get promoted in tech, earn more money. So ask me your questions. Do you know that 70% of people actually ask their friends who aren't even working in the field or other people that are trying to get hired, and they literally get the wrong advice, and people spend, I'm not joking, years of wasted time. And, I made the mistakes 25 years ago. And I've coached people for 20 years so they don't have to make the mistakes. I've interviewed thousands of hiring managers to find out exactly what they want. And that's the key, is I've done research for 25 years. I've trained people for more than 20 years, helped people get hired for more than 20 years. And I don't want you to waste a minute of your life. Let's give you the exact and best information you need. And we're out here to help you. So ask us your questions. I love helping people. That's why we're here completely free. I don't have the ability to do very few. I can only do very few private consults, and they get so expensive. So I try to do what I can to help you completely for free. So ask us your questions.
All right. So let's see. We got a question here. from Cisco.
Love that name.
Nice name, Cisco. Does Go Cloud Careers train both AWS and Azure? Mike, you want me to take this one to give your voice a break?
I want to take this because these guys got a name of Cisco. And since I spent a decade at Cisco and I was the lead architect for the entire healthcare vertical at Cisco, and prior to that, I actually worked at the global financial part of Cisco, I wanted to address this. So Cisco, hopefully you know networking with that name. So Cisco, I want you to think about it. Now, 25 years ago, before I knew anything about tech, I said I wanted to be a Cisco engineer. And here's really what happened. I became a CCIE. My CCIE number is 7417. And when you become a CCIE, you learn BGP, you learn OSPF, you learn spanning tree, rapid spanning tree, and all these things. And guess what? If it's a Juniper router, an Extreme Networks layer 3 switch, a Cisco router, it all works the same. So Cisco, yes, we teach AWS, we teach Azure, we teach the OpenStack cloud, but we teach you the cloud. See, where people crash and destroy their cloud careers as follows. They take an AWS cert, which teaches you, here's the name of a proprietary service and how to configure that service. It's kind of like learning how to drive a Mercedes and not being able to drive a Honda or a Toyota, a Ford, or a Chevy. Just learn to drive. So yes, we spend a tremendous amount of time with AWS and Azure, but our students build their own cloud from scratch. I'm not joking. Every one of my students could go and build an entire AWS. And I don't mean a VPC, I mean the entire cloud because all my students have to do it. So we train our students in the network and the data center because guess what, Cisco? All the cloud is nothing more than a network and a data center. That's it, that's the whole cloud. Add some control plane software, add some proprietary services, and there you go, that's it. So kind of keep that in the back of your mind. So we train AWS, we train Azure, we train OpenStack. All right, we have students working at Google's cloud, for example, Microsoft's cloud, AWS's cloud, and working at all of them. Now, Cisco, if you only learned one cloud instead of the cloud, the career is over. 81% of customers now use more than one cloud. And the Pentagon just gave a $9 billion multi-cloud architecture, and we've been teaching multi-cloud forever. So Cisco, if you come from networking, you know that if you have a WAN link, you're not going to have two WAN links in the same service provider. You're going to have them in different service providers. So everything that requires availability requires two clouds, and we train that too. So if you're with us, you'll be able to work anywhere, anytime. We train all clouds, not a single cloud, because that's what it takes. But I want you to realize it's all the same. So if I've been dealing with object storage now for 25 years, or about 20 years, whether it's called object storage, S3, or blob, or cloud storage on Google, it's the same stuff. Then the virtual machine that VMware invented in 1999 is the same thing as an EC2 instance, an Azure Virtual Machine, or a Google Compute Engine instance. So we teach it all. And that's why our students are aggressively recruited. That's why most of our students, upon graduation, earn between $120,000 and $287,000 a year based upon experience. And most people, even with zero experience, are getting about $150,000 and $160,000 job offer based upon the work. Now, we're not a 10-hour program like a cert. We're over 500 hours, but our students get the best, and our students are recruited. Ask some more questions, and I'd love to help you.
All right, so Devin says, good morning. I just registered last night for the Cloud Architect Career Development Program. Excited to dig in. Don't wait, dive right in. Glad you joined us, Devin.
Devin, we're thrilled to have you. Can't wait to see you in class. Tomorrow's class is a continuation of an ongoing architecture, but guess what? You get a chance to watch the presentations, go through the things, and I can't wait until you send me that message to Cloud Hired. It'll be a party time for all of us.
All right, so Good Steward says, I am in tech sales. How can I transition to CE? I see other boot camps. What makes Go Cloud a better option?
So Good Steward, CE to me means customer edge. So I don't know what CE actually is. CE could be many, many things. If you can tell us what CE is, I can tell you. Now, I will tell you the main difference between us and everybody else. Most of the other boot camps teach you how to pass a test. And when you're done passing that test, guess what? You're completely unhireable because the certification doesn't make somebody anything. We teach deep, deep, deep technology, But we also teach executive skills, leadership skills, emotional intelligence skills, business acumen, how to build your resume, how to build your brand to make recruiters come to you like vultures, like our students. They don't even need to apply for jobs in most cases, people do them. We even teach our students how to negotiate a higher salary. So other boot camps are out there. Here, pass the certification. And good steward, I'm going to tell you right now, we consistently retrain people that have paid $8, $10, $12, $35,000 on boot camps, and then we get them hired. But if you can tell me what CE is, I can kind of help you.
All right. So let's see. Diego says hello. Hello, Diego. Chris4492. Hi. If someone gets the AWS Solution Architect Professional Certification, can we consider that person an AWS Cloud Architect? Or are these different things?
Chris4492, if you pass the AWS Professional Certification, you've got a certificate and a piece of paper. You'll never be a cloud architect without getting extra training. And here's the reason why. Here's what certifications teach. And I can teach you how to go from that to certified. Certification teaches you the name of the service and how to configure that service. But guess what, Chris? Architects don't do that. Not AWS solution architects, cloud architects, enterprise architects. We don't do any of that. That's not our job. So the reality is in these certifications, it's all about the proprietary stuff, which in many cases you can't use. So what does a cloud architect do or a solution architect? We go to our customer. We ask the CEO, the CTO, the CIO, the CFO, what are your business challenges that you're trying to achieve? Then after we figure out what they're doing, we go back to our organization and we build a team. We bring in a team of people to baseline the technology that are typically cloud engineers. And then we go back to our team. We got to go to our management and say, I need these 50 expert people for the next 6 months to design this billion-dollar technology solution. So I go reach out to my SVPs, my CEO. I build a business case of exactly why I need these 50 people. Then I lead a team of at least 50 people. It could be 10 people, 5 people, 50 people, based upon the complexity of it. I only do billion-dollar architecture, so for me, they're always 50-person teams. And then from there, we all design this thing together. Then I document it a little bit with the team. I go back to the customer with the account executive. We present the solution back. We sell the solution back. We negotiate the business deal. And as soon as the customer signs on the dotted line, we take that project and we turn it over to a service delivery executive that's going to build it. And they're going to be hiring a bunch of cloud admins or DevOps engineers, and they're usually going to be overseas. And they're going to be putting it together for you. So that's why the certification has nothing to do with reality. Now, the reason they have $800,000 architect jobs, and I can show you in a minute if you desire, and $400,000 cloud architect jobs, and the average cloud architect salary is $199,000 plus, we can get you those statistics, that comes from salary.com, is because the cloud architect is a marriage of a business executive combined with a technology professional. So what you really need for this job are the following skills. Most of them are business, and the other ones are tech, but they're not covered in certification. So what are they? Well, you need to have something called executive presence. Here, hi, my name's Mike. How can I help you today? Or, hi, my name's Mike. How can I help you? One's with executive presence, one with the lack there is. The next part of it is called executive communication. Executive communication is how do you communicate to executives, which is different than how you communicate to other people. The next thing is CXO relevancy. For example, if you start talking to a CEO or a CTO about S3, they'll kick you out of the office, you'll be fired, and your replacement will thank you. So you need to have CXO relevancy skills. Beyond that, you need the leadership skills to build the team. You need the sales skills to go out there and sell your internal management to give you resources and to go sell your billion-dollar architecture to your customer. Now, on all the interviews for a cloud architect, you're going to have to deliver a presentation. Now, as an architect, you're going to be presenting to your customers, presenting to internal teams, presenting at conferences, so you're going to need some critical presentation skills. And after that, there's that. And for example, Chris, I've got people that get hired every single day without a certification. Now, I like the AWS Certified Solution Architect Professional. It may help you get an interview, but it will never get you hired on its own. Now, next, what are you moving, Chris? You're moving the stuff from the network and the data center to the cloud. So if you don't know what that stuff is, and these certifications, they don't teach that stuff, you can't design it what you don't know. So then the networking side, you're going to need BGP knowledge and real BGP depth, IP addressing, subnetting, supernetting, route aggregation, route summarization, those kind of things. Switching technologies, which means VLANs, VLAN tagging, VLAN trunking, port channel, ether channel, link aggregation groups, spanning tree, rapid spanning tree, those kind of things. ARP, proxy ARP, DNS, DHCP, NAT, and not that silly nonsense they teach in the AWS Advanced Networking. That doesn't even count. One-to-one NAT, one-to-many NAT, static NAT, dynamic NAT, and PAT. And on the data center side, you're going to need to know virtualization, virtual machines, and how they work, containers and container orchestration, block storage, object storage, file storage, server architecture with regards to capacity. Then you're going to need to know the databases you use and all that nonsense they talk about in the AWS certification, like DynamoDB or Amazon Aurora. Doesn't work in a multi-cloud environment, so you're going to have to learn about relational databases in depth and NoSQL databases. Once you get beyond that, you need to know business applications, ERP systems, CRM systems, unified communications, and the impact they make on the business. And then it comes down to security. And we're not going to be using WAF to secure our network. So you're going to have to learn next generation firewalls, IDS, IPS systems, VPN concentrators. And we teach all of these things from the business to the tech in our program. But that's why an architect gets paid so much. That's why they get paid as much as a physician, because they're really executives that also know technology. But passing that exam is a good challenge. The fact that you've done it, that's great, 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 great. Congratulations. Now you have the chance to start training so you can get hired. You're about 5 to 10% there with the Certified Solution Architect Professional. And that's why we retrain people with these exams every single day of the week. And that's why they're getting hired every single day of the week. So they're very different things. There's a big difference between a paper certification and an elite technology career. And I'll release it later today. I just wrote an article in the LA Times about the difference between certifications and hired, and I'll post it to LinkedIn later today. So follow me on LinkedIn.
All right, so let's get to the next question. Good Stewart says, do you recommend taking Google IT Network course prior to taking the Go Cloud course?
Good Stewart, I never recommend you taking the Google IT Network anything. It's too basic and too junior to be anything. I also don't recommend you do anything before you get to us, and here's the reason why. The average cloud architect earns $800 a day, average. A good one can easily earn double that. We teach all of these things, and we teach networking that's at least 15 to 50 times deeper than what's taught in that as part of our program, because that's what it takes to succeed. So with the networking that we teach you, if you decided to take that Google exam, you could probably do it a day afterwards as opposed to wasting, weeks and months to do it before. All that really covers is some basic configuration things where we teach it. They're not going to teach the BGP, the IP addressing, subnetting, and supernetting, the NAT, the DNS, the DHCP, the ARP, the proxy ARP, and any of these things. There's just going to be a couple buttons here and you're good to go. So I recommend you never take that. Now, if you do want a good networking certification, I recommend the Cisco Certified Network Professional. That's going to get you somewhere. But any of these AWS Advanced Networking, Google IT Network, don't waste even a minute on it. See, here's the thing. 10,000 pages to get a CCNP. And people respect this. This little book, this little thing you could put in 200 pages. So it doesn't even scratch the surface of what you need to know for anything. So don't waste your time on it. Aim for less. 1 or 2 big technology certifications will give you an elite career. Don't be the person that gets 5 associate certifications. Associate certifications basically tell the manager that you're almost ready to get to work. So getting 5 associate certifications or 6 of them is not even worth one good full professional certification. So don't do that. We'd love to train you. We'd love to get you hired.
All right. Diego says, I'm thinking of doing my master's degree next year, and I want to do it about cloud network systems. Do you think it's a good move that pays off, or you wouldn't recommend approaching cloud career this way?
Well, Diego, let's look at it this way. Cloud networking as a cloud architect is the best career I know, and it will pay you much more than a cloud network engineer, potentially 2 to 3 times more in your career. Now, Diego, if you want to do networking, I'm going to tell you right now, there are no schools in the entire country that teach networking. And if you take a master's degree in technology, here's what you're going to get. A whole bunch of theory that's 20 years old and a couple of CompTIA certifications. Don't waste your time, effort, or money. Now, Diego, if you want a really good career, a real good one, build your business acumen and get an MBA. Study the tech on your own, get an MBA, and over time, what that will impact your salary is so much more. I love education, Diego. I've got 2 master's degrees, Diego, and me and Anthony Gonzalez from my team actually tallied my education the other day, and it was over $325,000. But I got to tell you this, the MBA was the most valuable part of that entire education. The people that have master's degrees in technology don't go any further than people that don't even have a college degree. I've got Daniel Bose, who was a kid that I absolutely love, wished he was my own son. Didn't even graduate high school. And he's got a huge job over at JP Morgan Chase, and he never even worked in tech before we had him. Delroy Batt, another person, he visits me in Florida all the time. You can see some videos over him. He has an associate degree, 0 cloud certs, and he got 3 job offers as a cloud security architect. 3 of them, and he gets them every single day, and he keeps turning them down. So that's the key. People reach out to him every day because of his brand. So you want to get something that's going to advance your career, get an MBA. How much do I believe in that? I have 3 MBAs on my staff. I've got one person with a master's in economics. I've got another person with a master's degree in law. I have 2 PhD business school professors, and I can go on and go on and go on. But you want to add $100,000 to your salary, get an MBA and learn some other things. You get a master's degree in this, you're not going to learn anything. I'd rather see you take our boot camp for $1,000, get an MBA, and build an elite career with a salary that's like a rocket ship. Don't ever recommend master's degrees in technology. And I have a lot of people with master's degrees and PhDs in technology, and I have to retrain them. So that's why I feel this way.
All right. So Good Stewart earlier asked about CE. CE meant cloud engineering. And let's find here's the original question. I'm in tech sales. How can I transition to cloud engineering? I see other boot camps. What makes Go Cloud a better option?
Well, Good Stewart, let me cover 2 things. First, I'm not teaching cloud engineering anymore, and I'll tell you exactly why. We're focusing exclusively on architecture. But the other boot camps are really 100% about a certification, and we are 100% about giving our students the tools to have the most elite careers. Now, I do have some students in the engineering program we had, and we're working very hard to give them the biggest competitive advantage in the world. We're putting them through some leadership skills training, sales training, emotional intelligence presentation, a full executive package. Because what we're doing is working very hard to differentiate them from the rest of the entire world. Now, why am I not taking any more students, Good Steward, into the cloud engineering program? And why do we 100% focus on cloud architects right now, or at how to earn more money in tech and how to master the interview? The following reasons. There's 2 kinds of people in an organization. There are people that generate revenue, like a salesperson or an architect, and there are people that cost money, who cost money, back office people, marketing people, and engineering. And when you're in a recession, here's what happens. The companies hire more people on the sales side, solutions architects, cloud architects, enterprise architects, and they lay off or fire the engineers, and here's the reason: they cost money. Now, Good Steward, I want you to understand something. In San Francisco, which is where a lot of people were working, the average house is $1.499 million, and the average income needed to support that house is $416,000 a year. Crazy, isn't it? Now, the reality is $100,000 in the US is functionally equivalent, adjusted for cost of living, to $28,000 in India. So I want you to think about this. What happens is to engineers is organizations basically during tough economic times like we're in now, hire more architects, hire more sales reps. They lay off their current engineers and they rehire them in other parts of the world. The reality is there's an incredible number of highly trained cloud architects and cloud engineers in India. There's an incredible number of highly educated, highly motivated cloud engineers in Africa, more than you can possibly imagine, some very highly motivated people who speak perfect English, by the way. There's an incredible number of highly educated cloud engineers in Pakistan. So there's an incredible number of cloud engineers in Asia. So organizations hire more of the architects in tough times, and they lay off the engineers and they replace them somewhere else. The other reason I'm not focused on engineering is the architect's job of going to the customer, asking them about their business, developing a business strategy to improve their business performance. That can't be replaced. But it's easy to use artificial intelligence like ChatGPT 5 years from now to basically code. There's already low code situations, and those things are going to go by the wayside. So outsourcing of engineering jobs and using automation to remove most of them. So that's why we are 100% focused on architectures. We're 100% focused on our existing engineers that we took in a while ago, getting them hired by giving them extreme competitive advantage, and we're not taking in any more engineers because I don't want to create any competition for ours. I care that everybody gets hired. And that's what's different. All of our students get hired as they do the work. They have to do the work, but our students get hired at the highest salaries because of our focus on leadership skills, executive presence, business acumen, and such.
All right, so let's see here. So the next question, as I want to be an expert in multi-cloud platforms, how can I learn both AWS Cloud Practitioner and Azure Fundamentals by comparing both at the same time? Or do you recommend learning one by one? I'm going to give you a break real quick, Mike.
Sure.
So we need to take a step back and look at the way that we just asked this question. And we see this all the time in our line of work. Essentially, what you just asked and what everybody asks us consistently is something along these lines. And let's put this into layman's terms. I was just asked, should I learn how to drive a Mercedes or should I learn how to drive a Ford? Should I learn how to drive a Toyota or should I learn how to drive a Saab? It's the same thing. You don't learn how to drive one or the other. You don't learn how to ride one bike manufacturer or the other bike manufacturer. And you shouldn't learn one cloud provider or another cloud provider. You should learn the cloud, the fundamentals of the cloud, the network and the data center, how cloud works, how virtualization works, how these technologies work, just like you learn how to drive, just like you learn how to drive a car, just like you learn how to ride a bike, just like you learn how to use a stove. If you know how to use one stove, you know how to use every stove. Now, granted, using a $300 stove versus a $3,000 stove, there's going to be some differences, or a $30,000 industrial stove. Same with the cloud, though. You're gonna, as long as you know the fundamentals of how to operate a stove or drive a car or work in the cloud, then you can use any stove, a Kenmore, a Maytag, a Frigidaire, or you can drive a car, Toyota, Ford, Mercedes, or you can work in the cloud, AWS, Azure, Oracle. So back to the question, if you want to become a multi-cloud expert, learn the cloud. Learn the fundamentals of the cloud. Learn the fundamentals of networking and data center. Learn the fundamentals of virtualization. Learn it regardless and without respect or regard to the vendors' names and the vendors' services, because a virtual machine is a virtual machine no matter what name you give it. A storage is storage no matter what name you give it. So do not learn one by one, just learn the cloud. And that's part of what we cover in the webinar up here. Collins, if you'll put the link to the webinar again in the chat box there, we go into great detail about that on our webinar on Thursday. That is the key, and that's what everybody misses, unfortunately, because of all the misinformation that's out there. So learn the cloud and not a cloud, just like you learn how to drive a car and not this car. So Mike, you want to elaborate?
Yeah, Chris explained it perfectly. See, the thing is, when you do certifications, they don't actually teach you the cloud. Let's take a steering wheel, for example, and I'll convert it to certification terms. AWS would call this an elastic angular vector changer, and Google would call it a cloud-based rotational device. And since neither one of you taught you that it was a steering wheel, you have no idea what it is. So when you work with us, for example, and we have you learn virtual machines, heck, you're going to go in our data center via the VPN and create an actual virtual machine. And that way, when you click two buttons to click a compute engine instance, an EC2 instance, an Azure virtual machine, an Oracle virtual machine, you're going to know what's going on under the hood, so to speak. So the point is, learn the cloud. And you want to know how easy it is once you know the cloud? I wanted to prove a point to some friends. They said the Google Professional Cloud Architect exam is the hardest cloud cert. And they're right, it is. And I said, if you know the cloud, within 2 days, you can pass that exam. And they all laughed at me. So what did I do? On a Friday, I ordered the Cybex book. I read it on Saturday and Sunday, took the Google Professional Cloud Architect exam on Monday, and it was the easiest thing I ever saw in my life. Now, that was easy for me because I knew the cloud. If I didn't know the cloud and just knew AWS and tried to do that thing, it would have been a 6-month process, and I still wouldn't know the cloud. And I wouldn't be employable either, because you can't design anything if you don't know what's going on underneath the hood. So that's why learn the cloud. Learn all those things at a fundamental level, and you'll have a career beyond everybody else who's focused on certification.
All right, so Teddy says, do I need networking skills like CCNA to be a cloud architect?
Teddy, you need networking skills, but not the same skills in the CCNA. I'll give you an example. In the CCNA, they teach you how to configure. You go to the route, so you SSH into the router, you type config t, int, interface, gigabit 0/0, no shut, IP, ADDR, 192.168, 255.255.255.252. That's CCNA skills. Heck, I'm a CCIE, so I know it. But we don't do anything like that as a cloud architect. Now, as a cloud architect, I might ask you, could you develop the proper IP addressing scheme for an organization with 80,000 people and 20,000 locations? That's what a cloud architect does. Or, Teddy, you've got 2 direct connections to AWS, one across AWS and one across Azure. And when you've got these 2 direct connections across AWS or Azure, and you want to load share without getting out of order packets, what do you do? So in a silly nonsense certification like the AWS Advanced Networking, they tell you to block one. Now, let me tell you, you're an architect, your customer's paying $20,000 a month per link, they're not going to want to block one. So you might need to know, do I send a specific subnet on one and another specific subnet on one and an aggregate address? That's architecture. Or you might need to know, do I change the weight or do I change the local preference on one link? So that's architecture. So Teddy, you need deep networking knowledges. Somewhere between the CCNA and CCIE, but no configuration. We never configure. You're not going to find an architect that's setting up an S3 bucket. You're not going to find an architect, for example, that's going to set up a load balancer. You're not going to find an architecture that's going to configure Route 53. That's not architect job. But Teddy, you need to know the networking, because the network is the foundation for all. All the cloud is a virtual network in a data center, so you need those fundamentals on how to design it. So hope I answered your question. Huge networking skills needed, but not configuration skills, design skills. And the truth is, and then we'll have Chris go to the next one. Let's say you wanted to design a hotel, right? Because architects design. Now, if I train somebody as a construction worker, here's a hammer, here's a screwdriver, here's a saw, do you think that would teach them how to design a 1,000-story hotel? Of course not, because there's a difference between design versus configuration. So keep that in the back of your mind. That's great. You need those networking skills, but not configuration. It is design. Because architects design percent itself. We don't touch the tech.
All right. So our next question is from Anthony. It says, good morning, team. What is the difference between a distinguished cloud architect, a principal cloud architect, and an enterprise cloud architect? And will you be able to do any of these positions completing your program?
Anthony, so let's go through this. A distinguished architect is kind of like me. And I get distinguished architect offers all the time. I had principal architect. I had a principal architect job with less than 2 years experience. I know it sounds crazy, but I did. So here's the thing. We all start out, well, some people start out with something called an associate architect, which is a job that you have for 6 months to a year. If you're still in that position after a year, you quit or get fired because you're not moving up. It's a training position. And then you have a regular architect, which is kind of the starting point. That's where our students start. It's about $150,000 to $200,000 position. And you're an architect and you're designing, presenting, and selling. A senior architect is someone with like a little more experience than a regular cloud architect, and maybe another $20,000 to $30,000, $40,000 there. Now, once you reach the principal architect or distinguished architect, which in many cases companies are the same thing, now you're dealing with somebody special. Now you're dealing with someone that's got some technical depth, but they have elite business skills, soft skills, extreme, executive presence, extreme, CXO relevancy, extreme, high levels of executive communication. They're constantly writing thought leadership documents. They're constantly presenting at conferences. Now, this is a $300,000 to $500,000 a year position. And in some cases, even more, because now you're dealing with somebody that's got elite business skills, and people are not hiring them for, they're not hiring them for their tech knowledge. They're hiring them for their leadership skills. And that's where you start getting into these positions. And I'll share a position. I'll share an example for you where you're in the chief architect positions, or when you're in, for example, these principal architect positions. If you want to see that, this is the kind of architecture positions we're talking about. And that's why, Anthony, our focus is so heavy on leadership skills and sales skills and executive presence and emotional intelligence, because that's the key on these. So I have had some people get enterprise architects out of my program, and an enterprise architect is 80% business, 20% tech. But realistically speaking, it's not something that people are going to gonna really get fresh out of our program. Now, we've had people get some of these roles if they actually had tech experience prior to this, but as a rule, no. As a rule, what would happen is someone would have to take our Cloud Architect Career Development Program, get themselves a really rock solid cloud architect position, and either get an MBA, an executive level training, or at that point take our Cloud Architect Career Development Program, wait about a year, and then take our How to Earn More Money in Tech program, which will teach all those business skills that the person needs to excel in these kind of roles. But not for our basic Cloud Architect Career Development Program. That's an incredible program to give people excellent architecture skills, and then get them to the point where they've got a good, strong future and a competitive advantage of any other people that were trained via any other methods. But these kind of roles, that's why we created the How to Get Your Money in Tech program, because we've got a lot of cloud architects working at AWS, Azure, Google, Apple, JP Morgan Chase, Capgemini, Accenture, KPMG, and I could go on, PricewaterhouseCoopers, and I can go on and go on and go on. So that's why we created that program, to take the architects that are working and get them to the next level. But you're asking about next level positions.
All right. So our next question is, can the cloud architect do some of the business analyst duties?
Curtin, let's describe the difference between an executive and an analyst. An analyst is a back office, low-level person that does number crunching and provides the information to, say, an architect or a business leader to make business decisions. We do elite business decisions. We sell, we negotiate. So it's at a much higher level. That's more of a junior level thing. That would be an analyst is the equivalent of an admin, which is more junior to an engineer, which is different than an architect. So completely different kind of things. Now, yes, we'll still build an ROI model. For example, when we're dealing with $1 billion architecture, we may have to create a business case to try and show how this works. But we're doing much more business. We're not doing those kind of junior things. We're doing those senior MBA kind of things. But it's a great question.
All right, so our next question is, so am I following you correctly in thinking that cloud architects can get hired without certifications? Yes, exactly. That's exactly what we're saying. So you don't have to have certifications to get the job. You have to have the knowledge. The knowledge is not portrayed by the certification. Now, incidentally, you might get some knowledge by preparing for the certification, but it's not the knowledge to do the job.
Exactly.
So just off the top of my head, I've got Bob Welch, Jeffrey West, Delroy Batt. Just off the top of my head, those three people, I think only one certification between the three of them, and it was a practitioner certification. And then they get the jobs, and they're being paid to get the certifications now, because now the companies need these certifications to be able to charge the price that they charge their companies. But no, the certification is not a requirement to get the job. The knowledge is a requirement to get the job. So, Mike, you want to add anything?
Yeah, so the thing is, the certification may help you get an interview, but our students get bombarded from interviews just because they're part of Go Cloud Careers. We literally get called, and one day a director at AWS actually came to our class to talk about why he loved their program. Chris and I jumped on with the CIO the other day, and he said, one of your students rejected me, and he went somewhere else, but how do I get more of your people? But then again, I also wrote basically 70 magazine articles with different magazines last year, so the world knows us. And we teach our students how to build the right brand, so they get bombarded and hammered by recruiters every single day. Would you like this job? Would you like this job? And the biggest thing my students have to say is, I'm not looking to make a change yet, but when I am, I'll call you back. Let's build a relationship. So yes, you can. I still recommend certifications. I typically recommend a professional certification, and we teach that in our course. But the real key is, it's knowledge that gets you hired. It's attitude, energy, enthusiasm that gets you hired. And join us in tomorrow's webinar, and we'll tell you all the things that'll get you hired. And yes, you can get plenty of jobs without certifications, but you can't get a job with certifications and no knowledge. Certifications to me are like the icing on the cake. Your knowledge is the cake. From people that I know that are cake eaters, they tell me they'll eat a cake without the icing, but they prefer it with the icing. But they won't eat the icing without the cake. Certifications are just 5% of the whole package. You can have 95% of the package and no certifications to get hired, but you can't have 5% of the package and get hired if you don't have the rest.
All right, so next question. I see you have two programs. One is live, the other is not. Will they both get you cloud hired? I'm looking at the self-paced because I work full-time. I can't wait to get started. I'll kick this one off. So both of our programs are self-paced. The only difference between the two programs is one, you have access to live classes. The other, you do not have access to the live classes. You only have access to recordings. I will say both can get you hired. We only created the non-live version because we saw people were having success without attending the live classes because of their schedules or obstacles or what have you. But I will also say, nothing compares to the ability to be able to interact in a live class. When we set up our schedule and the price point for our program, we set it up with the idea that individuals could attend at least one class per week. If they could attend at least one of these classes per week, the cost benefit outweighs the cost outweighs the benefits, or the benefits outweigh the cost. Sorry. Say that backwards. The benefit of even being able to attend just one of the classes a week outweighs the cost of the program. So that's how we set this up, with the intention that if anybody could attend just one a week, even just a partial class, just that uniqueness of being able to take part, even just for a little bit in a live setting, nothing can beat that. So if you have the ability to be able to enroll in that program, then we don't encourage you to do anything other than that. So, Mike, if you want to share with that as well.
Yeah, I really, really strongly recommend the live program. And you may only be able to attend an hour of a live class during a lunch break or something like that. But even that, you can pop in, you can ask some questions, you're going to meet lots of people, develop relationships. And when you have these relationships, our students get each other hired all the time. Bob worked with at least 15, 20 people inside of our program to basically do things. Now Bob is tutoring people. Daniel Vosu tutored people. Romanek Ivan Tamba, who came from Cameroon at 15 years old, was working as a waiter, who's now An architect at AWS tutors our people. So I strongly, strongly recommend that you take the live version. And if you can't watch the live class, guess what? You can watch the replay. Really no big deal.
All right. Kind of a follow-up question to that. Mike, I want to join. Is the $9.99 package a good start? I see you have other packages incoming, so I feel overwhelmed on which one to pick.
Uzma, our $9.99 package has gotten people hired every single day of the week. I think it's a great place to start. I'll tell you the difference between these two. The $9.99 package was something that I created so that somebody anywhere in the world that wanted a cloud architect job could get a cloud architect job. I grew up poor as a child, and I spent literally $325,000 in education, or at least that's total of it in my life. And I put into this program my heart and soul, and that's why I've got students getting hired every single day of the week. Now, we do have a program which is going to cost much more than that, and it's going to start somewhere in the next few months, is a program where we're going to take this program and we're going to add some special private training that I'm going to teach, 2 classes a month. We're going to have 2 other classes per month. One's going to be taught by maybe a VP at a tech company. One's going to be taught by, say, some elite sales executives. One's going to be taught by some elite business leaders. Some are going to be taught by some business school professors. And the goal of that is to teach the business acumen and MBA skills combined with this program and a little bit more smart, higher touch professional services. We know that program is going to be really, really great. We've piloted it on our internal employees that were working here, and they were thrilled and blown away by it. But right now that's not an option, and the $9.99 program is going to get you hard, and it's going to get you hard well. And our track record is amazing. We just got best online training in cloud computing from a $999 dollar, and we've literally retrained people that have taken $35,000 courses and gotten them hired. So the point is, it's an incredible program, and I would start with that for right now. Months from now, we will be offering that. It will take ours, which is better than the rest, and it will add an extreme level of business skills, because we like to undercharge, underpromise, and overdeliver. But you'll be fine with this program. It's fantastic.
All right, so we gotta start getting quicker on our answers. We've got to wrap up soon, everybody. So we're only going to be able to take the questions that are already in the chat box. So the next question: does cybersecurity use cloud knowledge? In other words, is cybersecurity better than using a cloud architect? Better than being a cloud architect as far as being a recession-proof career?
Well, first, the architecture jobs generally pay more and are far more represented. Now, if you wanted to be, so let's explain what cloud security is, or what security is. It's keeping people from hacking your systems. Now, guess what? There's 3 kinds of security. There's offensive security, which you break into systems. There's engineering security, where you configure those systems. And there's security architecture, which is what we teach, where you design the systems. And you can look at it this way. Security architects, highest paid, best opportunities. Security engineers, medium opportunity, medium pay. And offensive people that are ethical hackers are medium pay as well, and are hands-on tech. You can't design a cloud without security. So there's no such thing as cybersecurity. There is security. And it's the same job for security architects in the data center versus security architects in the cloud. Same thing. We're not using any of the cloud security stuff. We're using the same next generation firewalls and all zero trust and IAM systems, so it's there. So I would say become a cloud security architect like Delroy Batt, and you'll have many more options than if you actually just focused on cybersecurity.
All right. Did your program just win an award? What was the award for? Congratulations on the award. 30 seconds. That's all you got.
The award for is the best online cloud computing school.
Show us the award.
And if I pop it closer to the screen, I don't know if you can see it, it'll be out of focus.
All right. So Robin says, do you need to have a background in IT to get employed as a cloud architect? And do you need certifications to get an interview? Quick
Robin?
answer, Mike.
Delroy Batt was an EMT who got hired. Daniel Bosu didn't graduate high school, and he's working at JP Morgan Chase as a cloud architect. His last job was selling shoes at Nordstrom. Jennifer was a mental health tech, now working at JP Morgan Chase. Jeffrey West was a geologist, now working at Caliant. Coyote was a college student, now working at AWS. Romanik Ivan Tamba was a waiter in Atlanta who's now working as a solution architect at AWS. You need the right skills, Robin. Now, all job descriptions want experience, but guess what? You can interview 1,000 people, 1,000 AWS certified people, and find 0 people that can actually do the job. And when you find someone that is competent with good energy, enthusiasm, passion, they can get hired. In fact, I remember years ago, 25 years ago, people said, Mike, you can't become a network engineer without being a network admin and a help desk. You need 5, 10 years experience. And you know what? I said, I'm going to do it anyway. They all told me I was crazy. I went on my first interview as a network engineer, and the hiring manager says, I'm going to hire you, but you're not a network engineer. You're a senior network engineer. And I just said, but Devendra, I've never worked in tech before. And he says, yes, that's the key. You've never worked in tech before, and you know more than 2/3 of my employees. Competency, 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 competency. You have the right skills, you can get any job you desire.
All right, the next question. Do you recommend people master BGP? Whether BGP more important than other protocols or other networking stuff?
I recommend you learn it all, CC Lemon. BGP requires an IGP to work. BGP does not work with IP addressing knowledge. You have to learn networking, and BGP is just one of those elements of networking. If you've got no network, you've got no cloud.
All right, next one. I want to become a DevOps engineer. Can I get a job as a fresher? Whew.
Well, it depends. So, and we don't teach DevOps engineering. It's not one of the careers I want us to ever focus on. But here's the thing. To be a DevOps engineer, first you need to be a rock star developer. And then you need to learn the operations tools that DevOps is, because DevOps is a blend of operations and development. So that means knowing all the Jenkins, Spinnaker, and all these DevOps codes on cloud, off cloud. It means being a rock star developer. Yes, you can get a job as a fresher if you've got the right skills, but you have to have the right skills. Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. You got to be good at what you do.
All right. This is our last question. Can I get a remote job while I am based in Nigeria?
Absolutely, you can. I'm going to tell you it's not the easiest thing to do, but it's all dependent upon your brand. You've got the right brand, you can kind of do anything you want. You've got the right skills, you can do anything you want. Now, it will be much harder. I can tell you right now, it will be much harder. Kind of like me getting a remote job in my village in Greece. Much, much harder, but you can still do it. And I've got a tremendous number of incredible Nigerian students, Cameroonian students, South African students, students from Ghana, all over Africa, and they all do well and they all excel. We actually have one of our students who just left Nigeria and got his first job in Canada the other day, and Benedict, and he's wonderful, wonderful, wonderful in every way you can possibly match. But yes, you can get a remote job, but you're going to have to work hard and you're going to have to be better than the rest. But if you develop the perfect skills, the world still needs you. There's an extreme shortage of there. And you know, AWS is actually opening an office in Nigeria right now. And AWS is opening something in South Africa. And I'm pretty sure, I think I heard AWS is opening something in Cameroon as well, which is your neighbor, obviously. But AWS is opening a facility in Nigeria. So it may not even have to be a remote job.
All right. So I want to thank everybody for joining us today. And I hope we were able to answer all of your questions. So we have to wrap up now, but we will be back again as always. So I want to make sure to remind everybody, make sure you register for the free How to Get Your First Cloud Job webinar. There in the link is in the description and in the chat box. I also want to remind everybody about our free AWS exam guide and video course that is available on YouTube. These are both updated for the most recent versions of the exams. So make sure you take advantage of those free resources that are available to you at the link in the description and in the chat box. And of course, I want to ask everybody to follow us on LinkedIn. Follow both Mike and Go Cloud Careers on LinkedIn so that you're up to date with all of our latest information as soon as we put it out there. So again, thank you, everybody. Look forward to seeing you tomorrow on our webinar at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, and that's Thursday, tomorrow, of course. Mike? You want to say goodbye? Any
I
last
want to
words?
say, remember this, all of you, every last one of you, with the right training, planning, and effort can achieve anything you want. The only way that happens is if you believe in yourself. I believe in you. You need to believe in you. I was told I would never be able to walk again or even sit in a chair again after an injury by 13 physicians. I'm here talking to you right now, okay? And I walked up the stairs this morning. May not run, but, there's that. I've been told you can't do this, and I proved time and time again that people can do it. When someone said to me, you can't get a job as something without a master's degree, and I took somebody without a high school diploma and helped them get his first job as a cloud architect, and he's thrilled. Spoke to him just the other day, and he's telling me about his brand new cats and his brand new flat. He's having a great time. So here's the key. You can do anything you've ever dreamed. Go after your dreams. Don't anybody or anything stop you. When you can go after your dreams and you conquer your dreams, you'll have the best life in the world.
All right. So we will see everybody tomorrow. Thank you all. Have a good day. Bye.
Everybody.